Explainer: what will Russian recognition of breakaway Ukraine regions mean? February 21, Reuters. Russian President Vladimir Putin told the French and German leaders on Monday that he planned to sign a decree recognizing 2 breakaway regions in eastern Ukraine as independent. Here's a look at the implications for the wider crisis, in which the United States says Russia may be poised to invade Ukraine with a force of up to 190,000 troops it has massed near its neighbors' borders. What are the breakaway regions? Russian-backed separatists in the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, collectively known as the Donbass, broke away from Ukrainian government control in 2014 and proclaimed themselves independent, people's republics, until now unrecognized. Since then, Ukraine says about 15,000 people have been killed in fighting. Russia denies being a party to the conflict but has backed the separatists in numerous ways, including through covert military support, financial aid, supplies of COVID-19 vaccines and the issue of at least 800,000 Russian passports to residents. Moscow has always denied planning to invade Ukraine. What does Russian recognition mean? For the first time, Russia is saying it does not regard the Donbass as part of Ukraine. That could pave the way for Moscow to send military forces into the separatist regions openly, using the argument that it is intervening as an ally to protect them against Ukraine. A Russian parliament member and former Donetsk political leader, Alexander Borodai, told Reuters last month that the separatists would then look to Russia to help them wrest control of parts of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions still under the control of Ukrainian forces. If that happened, it could lead to open military conflict between Russia and Ukraine. What about the Minsk peace process? Russian recognition effectively kills off the 2014-15 Minsk peace agreements that, although still unimplemented, have until now been seen by all sides, including Moscow, as the best chance for a solution. The accords call for a large degree of autonomy for the 2 regions inside Ukraine. How will the West respond? Western governments have been lining up for months to warn Moscow that any movement of military forces across the Ukrainian border would draw a strong response, including stringent financial sanctions. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said last week that recognition would further undermine Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, constitute a gross violation of international law, and call into further question Russia's stated commitment to continue to engage in diplomacy to achieve a peaceful resolution of this crisis. He said it would necessitate a swift and firm response from the United States and its allies. Has Russia recognized breakaway statelets before? Yes. It recognized the independence of Abkhazia and South Ossetia, 2 Georgian breakaway regions, after fighting a short war with Georgia in 2008. It has provided them with extensive budget support, extended Russian citizenship to their populations and stationed thousands of troops there. What are the pros and cons for Moscow? In the Georgia case, Russia used recognition of the breakaway regions to justify an open-ended military presence in a neighboring former Soviet republic in an attempt to indefinitely thwart Georgia's NATO aspirations by denying it full control of its own territory. The same considerations would apply to Ukraine. On the downside, Moscow faces sanctions and international condemnation for abandoning the Minsk process after long maintaining that it was committed to it. It will also be saddled indefinitely with responsibility for 2 territories ravaged by 8 years of war and in need of massive economic support. Ukraine's turbulent history since independence in 1991. February 21, Reuters. Russia has massed troops near Ukraine and the West has threatened economic sanctions if it launches an invasion. Moscow denies planning an invasion but has demanded sweeping Western security guarantees in a tense standoff. Here is a timeline of the main events in Ukraine's political history since it won independence from Moscow in 1991. 1991, Leonid Kravchuk, leader of the Soviet Republic of Ukraine, declares independence from Moscow. In a referendum and presidential election, Ukrainians approve independence and elect Kravchuk president. 1994, Leonid Kuchma beats Kravchuk in presidential election deemed largely free and fair by observers. 1999, Kuchma is re-elected in 1999 in a vote riddled with irregularities. 2004, pro-Russian candidate Viktor Yanukovych is declared president but allegations of vote rigging trigger protests in what becomes known as the Orange Revolution, forcing a rerun of the vote. A pro-Western former prime minister, Viktor Yushchenko, is elected president. 2005, Yushchenko takes power with promises to lead Ukraine out of the Kremlin's orbit, towards NATO and the EU. He appoints former energy company boss Yulia Tymoshenko as prime minister, but, after infighting in pro-Western camp, she is sacked. 2008, NATO promises Ukraine it will one day join the alliance. 2010, Yanukovych defeats Tymoshenko in a presidential election. Russia and Ukraine clinch a gas pricing deal in exchange for extending the lease for the Russian Navy in a Ukrainian Black Sea port. 2013, Yanukovych's government suspends trade and association talks with the EU in November and opts to revive economic ties with Moscow, triggering months of mass rallies in Kiev. 2014, the protests, largely focused around Kiev's Maidan Square, turn violent. Dozens of protesters are killed. In February, Parliament votes to remove Yanukovych, who flees. Within days, armed men seize parliament in the Ukrainian region of Crimea and raise the Russian flag. Moscow annexes the territory after a March 16 referendum which shows overwhelming support in Crimea for joining the Russian Federation. In April, pro-Russian separatists in the eastern region of Donbass declare independence. Fighting breaks out, which has continued sporadically, despite frequent ceasefires, into 2022. In May, businessman Petro Poroshenko wins a presidential election with a pro-Western agenda. In July, a missile brings down passenger plane MH17 en route from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur, killing all 298 people on board. The weapon used is traced back by investigators to Russia, which denies involvement. 2017, an association agreement between Ukraine and the EU opens markets for free trade of goods and services, and visa-free travel to the EU for Ukrainians. 2019, a new Ukrainian Orthodox Church wins formal recognition, angering the Kremlin. Former comic actor Volodymyr Zelensky defeats Poroshenko in an April presidential election on promises to tackle corruption and end the war in eastern Ukraine. His Servant of the People Party wins a July parliamentary election. U.S. President Donald Trump asks Zelensky in July to investigate Joe Biden, his rival in the U.S. presidential race, and Biden's son Hunter over possible business dealings in Ukraine. The call leads to a failed attempt to impeach Trump. March 2020, Ukraine goes into its first lockdown to curb COVID-19. June 2020, IMF approves a $5 billion lifeline to help Ukraine stave off default during a pandemic-induced recession. January 2021, Zelensky appeals to Biden, now U.S. President, to let Ukraine join NATO. February 2021, Zelensky's government imposes sanctions on Viktor Medvedchuk, an opposition leader and the Kremlin's most prominent ally in Ukraine. Spring 2021, Russia masses troops near Ukraine's borders in what it says are training exercises. October 2021, Ukraine uses a Turkish Bayraktar TB2 drone for first time in eastern Ukraine, angering Russia. Autumn 2021, Russia again begins massing troops near Ukraine. December 7, Biden warns Russia of sweeping Western economic sanctions if it invades Ukraine. December 17, Russia presents detailed security demands including a legally binding guarantee that NATO will give up any military activity in Eastern Europe and Ukraine. January 10, US and Russian diplomats fail to narrow differences on Ukraine. January 14, a cyber attack warning Ukrainians to be afraid and expect the worst hits Ukrainian government websites. January 17, Russian forces start arriving in Belarus, to the north of Ukraine, for joint drills. January 24, NATO puts forces on standby and reinforces Eastern Europe with more ships and fighter jets. January 26, Washington presents a written response to Russia's security demands, repeating a commitment to NATO's open-door policy while offering pragmatic discussions of Moscow's concerns. January 28, President Vladimir Putin says Russia's main security demands have not been addressed. February 2, the United States says it will send 3,000 extra troops to Poland and Romania to help shield NATO allies in Eastern Europe from any spillover from the crisis. February 4, Putin, at Beijing Winter Olympics, wins Chinese support for his demand that Ukraine not be allowed to join NATO. February 7, French President Emmanuel Macron sees some hope for a diplomatic resolution of the crisis after meeting Putin in the Kremlin. Macron then visits Kiev and praises the sang-froid of Zelensky and the Ukrainian people. February 9, Biden says, things could go crazy quickly, as the U.S. State Department advises Americans in Ukraine to leave immediately. Other countries also urged their nationals to leave. February 14, Zelensky urges Ukrainians to fly flags and sing the national anthem in unison on February 16, a date some Western media say Russia could invade. February 15, Russia says some of its troops are returning to base after exercises near Ukraine and mocks Western warnings about a looming invasion. Russia's parliament asks Putin to recognize as independent two Russian-backed breakaway regions in eastern Ukraine. February 18, U.S. Ambassador to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe Michael Carpenter says Russia has probably massed between 169,000 to 190,000 personnel in and near Ukraine. February 19, Russia's strategic nuclear forces hold exercises overseen by Putin. February 21, France's Macron says Biden and Putin have agreed in principle to a summit over Ukraine. The Kremlin says Putin will sign a decree recognizing two breakaway regions in eastern Ukraine as independent entities shortly. Thank you for watching our videos.